It's time now for Tech 24, and joining me in the studio is Charlotte Lamb. Now, Charlotte, we often talk about online censorship in China, but a new report is showing that something deeper is happening, that the internet is being used to oppress, if not erase, an entire culture.
That's right. There's new research coming from a group of human rights experts, journalists, and PEN America, which is an advocacy group that defends free expression. And it has found that the Chinese government is targeting Mongolian language and culture through online spaces. So for years, despite periodic censorship, the internet remained one of the only places for Mongolians in China where they could still use their language, they could share music, and they could really connect as a community. And for context, this is in what the Chinese government calls Inner Mongolia, the autonomous region of northern China, what many Mongolians call Southern Mongolia. Around 6.3 million people live here, and in 2020, Beijing enforced bilingual language policy to essentially replace Mongolian with Mandarin Chinese across schools. And this sparked widespread protests that were met with mass detentions of up to 10,000 people. It's believed, it's hard to get an exact figure, the creation of re-education programs, and even forced and coerced confessions from protesters. So since the demonstrations, repression offline has bled directly into the digital world, and it seems to only have gotten worse.
Now, how is this repression actually playing out online? What are people seeing disappear?
Essentially, the report detailed some very concrete ways. It shows a rapid growth of Mongolian language internet use in the early 2000s, which led to a first wave of digital crackdowns, and then these only intensified after 2020. The report states that nearly 89% of known Mongolian cultural websites have either been censored or shut down. Many online spaces have been restricted, including the most popular Mongolian language social media app. And it also uncovered a policy called One Province, One Newspaper, One Client, and that allows state media to crowd out independent Mongolian apps by creating their own. So I have been talking to a Southern Mongolian journalist, Soyonbo Borjin, who now lives in exile in New York. During the 2020 protests, the government shut down the newspaper he was working for, and he was forced to go to re-education class for 1 month. He told me just the extent of how China is clamping down on these online spaces. Let's take a listen.
The government has banned language in local Mongolian schools. The digital space has become the last free public space for the Mongolian people. It means the Chinese government is deliberately removing spaces where Mongolians can use their own language, share the music, discuss their history, and connect as a community. For example, I'm also a user of Bino, a social media app with 400,000 Mongolian users, was shut down during the 2020 protest. Mongolian songs are being removed from the Mongolian apps. For example, some songs like Let Us Be Mongolian or I Am a Mongolian has been erased from the local song apps. And words related to Mongolian identity, for example, Chinggis Khan, are censored and labeled as separatist. WeChat groups where people discuss Mongolian culture are monitored and shut down. Yeah. So right now, in the region where I came from, people cannot use Mongolian language to discuss any topics because the whole cyberspace for the Mongolian language has disappeared.
Now, Charlotte, obviously that's very stark there, and this is happening on mainstream platforms, correct? We're not talking about the dark web or other areas of the internet.
Yes, it's the websites that that part of the region can access, and that's exactly why this report matters for tech companies, because they're not just bystanders in all of this. We can show you now an example of a website opened in the region, showing Mongolian script on one side and what it looks like on the other. So the report's authors argue that when apps and browsers and search engines, when they don't support Mongolian or any traditional language for that matter, or quietly remove content under government pressure or hide it or perhaps it's hidden by the algorithm, they say that actively accelerates erasure. I also spoke to the managing director of PEN America, who oversaw this research. Let's hear from her.
I absolutely think tech companies should be taking note, because I think this particular phenomenon, this intersection between cultural rights and digital repression, is one that is much less understood. And if internet companies are interested and committed to supporting an open and free internet, including defending the core principles, that support internet freedom, they should definitely be paying attention to what has happened in Mongolia, because it is a case study of what is happening in terms of the suppression of culture.
Now, I did contact China's foreign ministry, but I haven't heard back. But human rights activists and journalists, they're calling for a coordinated response from tech companies and international institutions to help protect Mongolian culture in this region online.
Well, Charlotte, I guess we'll have to see how these tech companies respond, if they do. Thank you so much for this edition of Tech 24. And that's it from us. But stay here on France 24. There's more to come.
France 24 pushes digital news even further. Reviews, analysis, and insights. France 24 recommends the most read articles. Follow us and don't miss a thing. France 24, your first choice for news.